EVs, electric vehicles, are not the future. Now, I'm sorry if I have, actually no, I'm not sorry if I have offended any EV enthusiasts. Come and comment on this video and let me know why I am wrong. I am looking forward to hearing your reasons. So, electric vehicles, they are simply not the future. In this video, I'm going to be going over my reasons why I think that is the case and why I think they will not be a big part of society moving forward. Now then, I guess first things first, we will talk about things from my perspective. So I am a car enthusiast. I do quite enjoy driving. I enjoy the characteristics of a combustion engine vehicle, and I don't think you're going to get that from an EV. They are just not going to be as engaging to drive. You don't have a transmission, you don't have an engine, you can't rev match, you can't downshift or anything like that. So I don't think anyone can disagree with that fact. I don't think anyone can say that EVs are more engaging to drive. Yes, they are fast. You know, there is no engine. You don't have to wait for engine speed to increase. It's a motor at the end of the day. It's, pretty much on or off. So, they are fast. They are always going to be quicker than a combustion engine vehicle. But speed isn't everything. You want an engagement from the car. You want to be able to feel what the car is doing. You want the mechanical aspect of things. That's what I think, coming from a car enthusiast point of view. With that being said, though, I think when it comes to car enthusiasts, I think we make up a very small percentage of the global population. I would say it's got to be less than like 10% or something like that. So the average person probably isn't thinking, oh, I want something that's engaging to drive. I want something that I can, rev match in. I want something that's going to sound good. The average person is just thinking, I want something that's comfortable, reliable, cheap, and safe. Those are probably the four things that majority of people are looking for in a car. Some people may want a car that looks nice as well, which I think when it comes to electric vehicles, there's not many cars out there that look nice. Of course, you have your Porsches, you have your, some of the Teslas, they look okay. But, when it comes to your generic average electric car, instead of just making them look like a combustion engine car with an electric motor, they seem to massively change the shape of them, make them so big, bulky, and make them look like spaceships. I don't know why that is, but yeah, on the whole, electric cars just don't look that great. So let's get that out of the way then. Let's talk about costs. So the initial cost when buying an electric vehicle, let's say from new, they are always going to be more expensive than the combustion engine equivalent, just because of the manufacturing costs, the fact that you need to get the lithium for the batteries. They are always going to be more expensive. It's something that I don't think they are going to be able to massively decrease. Of course, as more and more are made, the price will go down somewhat per unit, but I don't think they're ever going to be as cheap as a combustion engine equivalent. And so for the average person, the initial outlay to buy one is going to be so much more. And when it comes to depreciation, EVs, they drop like a rock. It is not uncommon for an EV after just 1 year of ownership to drop like 40% of its value. That is absolutely ridiculous. A petrol or diesel combustion engine vehicle is only going to lose 20, maybe 30% of its value maximum after a year. And of course, it does then slow down. But an electric vehicle, it's not uncommon for them to lose like 60 or 70% of their value after like 4 years or so. It is absolutely ridiculous how much you lose in just depreciation on an electric vehicle. And it's why so many people are now underwater on these EVs. You know, they put down a small or even a decent sized deposit. They pay a massive monthly payment because let's remember, EVs are a lot more to buy in the first place. And then they want to then get out of it, or they want to trade it for another car, and they have to actually pay a huge sum of money to give the car back. You know, the car is just not worth how much they have into the car or how much they owe on the car. It's just not worth that much. They're having to pay 20, 30,000 pounds just to give the car back to the dealer. And yeah, it's not a good place to be in. I feel very sorry for them people. Most of those people had good intentions. They were just kind of sold a lie by the government. So yeah, I do feel sorry for them people. So yeah, we've got the initial outlay cost to buy the car out of the way. We've got the cost of the depreciation out of the way. Now let's talk about maintenance. I'm sure EV enthusiasts will tell you that, you know, you don't have to spend any money on maintenance when it comes to an EV like you do with a combustion engine car. You know, with an engine you have oils, you have air filters, you have fuel filters, you have all these other things. You know, you have regular brake discs and pads that you need to swap out every few years or so. But when it comes to electric vehicles as well, there is still maintenance, and let's not forget that not everyone can work on an electric vehicle. And so because it is a very specialized skill to be able to work on an electric vehicle efficiently and safely, the price to have that work done is going to be far greater because there's not as much competition between, you know, garages and service centers. So yeah, you are going to have to be paying a premium to have work done on an EV. There may be less things to do, although I am led to believe there is still oils and things that need to be swapped out. So I don't think you can say that they are completely maintenance free. You're still going to have to do work on them. Brakes will need replacing eventually. I think they last 100,000 miles or so. You know, you still need tires and all the rest of it. You'll still need suspension components replacing and things like that. So yeah, they are definitely not maintenance free. Don't think you're going to be able to buy an electric vehicle, drive it for 30 years and it's going to cost you absolutely nothing in maintenance. That is not the case. Electric batteries, you know, the battery packs themselves, they are, I mean, we don't really know how long the more modern stuff, like the, you know, what you have in the Teslas and the Porsches and things like that, we don't really know how long they are going to last. But say, let's say, for example, an electric vehicle from 2010, which has covered, I don't know, 100,000 miles or so, those batteries are pretty much useless now. You know, I'm seeing cars on Auto Trader with a dead battery, say in a Nissan Leaf, and you know, the battery now only covers 25 miles of range. So it's basically a scrap car, because if you're buying that car, you've then got to put new battery packs in, and you know, it's just going to cost a lot more than the price of the car to begin with. So yeah, once electric vehicles get to 10, 15 years old or so, you could say they are not worth repairing, whereas a combustion engine vehicle, they are worth repairing. I mean, I've got 5 cars now that are all over 15 years old and they're all running great. I've bought them cheap and I've been able to fix them cheap. I don't think that's going to be the case with electric vehicles going forward. So yeah, that is the maintenance costs out of the way. Now let's talk about the fuel costs. Obviously, with a petrol car, with a diesel car, you just fill it up with your fuel at the pump, you pay a set price per litre and away you go. Happy days. When it comes to an electric vehicle, if you can charge it at home or at a workplace, you'll probably get the electricity for cheaper than, you know, the equivalent amount of petrol or diesel per unit. But if you are having to charge away from home or away from your workplace, you know, at a motorway services or, you know, at any kind of electric charge point, you're probably not going to be saving much money compared to the electric. you're probably not going to be saving much money compared to the petrol or diesel equivalent. You're probably going to find, especially with electricity prices how they are at the moment, you're probably not going to be finding you are saving much money on the fuel whatsoever. So the fact that people are buying electric vehicles because they think they are going to be saving a whole load of money on fuel, it just doesn't add up. Like, you don't spend £20,000 more on a vehicle to save money on fuel. I mean, how much does the average person spend on fuel anyway? I mean, if you have, say, let's say the average 2-litre diesel here in the UK, the average person will probably spend £2,000 to £3,000 a year. Let's not forget, if you have an electric vehicle, you've still got to pay for the electricity that you're putting into it. So let's say you get it for half the price. Let's say it's only £1,000 per year. And so you're saving, what, £1,000 per year on the fuel. Well, you've had to spend £20,000 more to do it. So it's going to take you 20 years just to get that saving on fuel. And let's not forget the depreciation. The car's not going to be worth nowhere near that the equivalent petrol or diesel car is going to be worth after those 20 years. It's probably going to be worthless. You know, you're not going to be able to fix it on a budget. You're going to have to spend so much more in the long run. And so from a financial standpoint, electric vehicles do not make sense whatsoever. Now then, let's talk about the used car market when it comes to electric vehicles, because I am someone that has only ever bought used cars. I don't see the point in buying a brand new car. I'm just not willing to take the depreciation hit, I guess. Most of my cars that I buy are 10, 15 years old, so they're probably right at the bottom of the depreciation curve. If anything, they're probably going to start going up in value sometime soon, or at least I can, you know, hope and, you know, tell that to myself that's going to be the case. But no, yeah, it's not something that I would do. I don't think I'll ever buy a brand new car. But, you know, if you are someone like me that needs to buy a used car, if it's an electric vehicle, I mean, nowadays, you used to be able to buy a petrol or diesel car, a used one, for £500. Those days are pretty much gone. Now you can buy now you can buy a diesel or petrol vehicle for about £1,000, and it'll be a decent daily driver. It'll get you from A to B, and you know, it's a good stopgap car. That won't exist when it comes to EVs. You know, you can't buy an EV for £1,000. The cheapest EV you'll find will be about £5,000. Can you drive that? Can you just use that as a stopgap car? No, you're probably going to have to replace the battery pack on it, in which case it's going to be £5,000, £10,000, £15,000 straight away. So yeah, I don't think cheap EVs do exist. Let me know if I'm wrong. I could be completely wrong on that, but I don't think they exist, and I don't think they can exist, just simply down to the fact that how much they are going to, you know, how much they cost to begin with and how much they cost to repair when something like the battery pack goes. And so if we was to have just EVs in the future, what do new drivers buy? You know, if you've just passed your test, you're 17 years old, are you expected to buy a £5,000 or £10,000 electric vehicle? I mean, like, you know, when I passed my test at 17, I think my first car was £1,500, and that was on the high end, really. I could have bought a car for probably £500. But yeah, like, what are young people supposed to do? You know, they're not going to go out there and buy an electric vehicle, let's be honest. And so then, what have we learned today? Well, we have pretty much established that EVs are way more expensive in every way imaginable. It doesn't make financial sense to buy one. So the fact that people are still buying them because they think they are going to save a lot of money by buying them, it just doesn't make sense to me. It's absolute nonsense. They are, you know, no more comfortable on the road. They look worse on the whole, in my opinion. Please let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm just not a fan of how many EVs look. I guess one point that I haven't touched on yet is the infrastructure here, especially in the UK, but that could be a whole separate video. You know, you can argue that you like stopping every 2 hours on the motorway, sitting with your cup of coffee and a donut. That's absolutely fine. If you want to do that, continue doing that. I'm not here to argue that you shouldn't be doing that, but yeah, maybe we will leave that for a separate video. So yeah, the infrastructure, that's not there yet. And will it ever be there? I don't think so, if I'm being honest. I don't think it's there to completely replace petrol and diesel cars. I think some of these manufacturers that are switching their production to solely EVs are going to be making a huge mistake. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Jaguar and Land Rover from 2025 will only produce electric vehicles. Now, we all know how many times Jaguar and Land Rover have gone bust, but I can honestly see it happening again if they still decide to go down that path. I think people will realize that electric vehicles are simply no better and they are not worth the extra money that you have to pay for them, and they will just lose sales and they simply will not be able to exist as the same company. And so yeah, I'm going to leave that one with you. I am definitely looking forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments, especially if you are an EV enthusiast. Please let me know that I'm wrong. Yeah, I cannot wait to hear some of the comments. I want to thank you all for watching anyway. Please give this one a like if you have enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in that next one.